So welcome to another DC call. We are going to talk about 20 referrals a month. So I was able, Dr. David's been adjusting me, and I've been doing much better, as a matter of fact. So I asked him today what he wanted to hear, so he said maybe some marketing stuff. So this will be a broad catch-all, Dr. Dave, to kind of take away 3, 4, 5, 10 things to increase and stimulate referrals in the office. As you're getting on, I'm asking for what wins you had, how the administrative process is working for you, connecting from your mission all the way down to what are your 6 most important actions today, and all the steps in between that we've talked about. Anything clinically, a clinical win that is worth sharing, and then I attended a PCA meeting, which I'm going to take 2 seconds to comment on. So with that, Dave, anything that you'd like to add?
On those subjects, definitely the wins getting accustomed with all the procedures and starting to use computers and being comfortable with that. The EMRs, much better. Getting comfortable with the spreadsheet for the front desk is nice. So all those things just going a lot smoother. That's good.
I think that you've done way better than I expected in terms of assimilating, you know, all the different facets of that stuff.
Yeah, so not the hard part, though, you know, the marketing.
Well, it was a brain dump. Well, no.
Or the most important part, I guess.
If everything else isn't in place, then the marketing is a waste. So I would never say don't market. But to know that people are going to get handled in a way that's most appropriate, both primarily for their concerns, like clinically, but like ultimately that's going to feed the business as well, and knowing that that's all in place is a big important win.
And then clinically, we had just an older gentleman that fought in World War II that somebody had his leg kind of torn up with shrapnel, you know, in 1949 or something like that. So it's one of those guys where at first when you start working on him, you're not sure how much success you're going to get, but he's extremely happy and, you know, referred a friend in, so that's nice.
Awesome. What year did World War II end?
What year did it end? Let's see.
Who did we fight again in World War II?
Well, he was actually not on the good side, but it wasn't really his fault. He was,
there you go.
He was a Latvian gentleman. What year did it end? 51?
You might want to do a little bit of research on that.
Okay.
It's all good. Excellent. Dr. Martha?
Wins for the week. As Friday ended, I had 2 one-time pays and all good, strong marketing from the events that we had the week before. So I was really happy with it. So
how much were the one-time pays, and like in general, if I asked you how much money are you typically asking, or you know, the average person that you're asking for, what's the answer to that?
My average case right about now is 1,000 to 900, maybe sometimes it's more like 1,200.
Out of pocket or total case?
Out of pocket. The ladies who did one-time pays, they were older and I think they had good insurance but weren't quite Medicare. So I want to say one of them was in the 800 range. I think the other one was a 700 range, but it was still good wins for me either way.
Yeah, very excellent. So this isn't brain surgery, but the docs that can clearly see the value of their services are always more successful at, quote, selling or closing or whatever term you want to put on it. Right? It is what we have to do, but, you know, clearly even if they had to come up with the $1,200 fully out of pocket, like compared to what they could be charged for what they could get both inside chiropractic elsewhere, but probably even more importantly, like an MRI is going to be more than your whole care plan. Right?
Yeah, I'm with you. I had a great group of people to like work with this last week, which is wonderful. They were all about being healthy and not having to go to see the doctor for it.
Right. So, like, yes, there's that, and then there's a percentage of people that aren't that.
Right.
But if you're the right person enough times to the percentage that even aren't that, you know, enough of those become that it's worth. I mean, we don't have any other choice than to walk our fight anyhow. So that's good. That's a big win. Dr. Leah, a win or a takeaway? I guess you can't have a takeaway yet. A win or, like, how is your process working? Do you feel that you're able to address your both marketing, retention, and collections in a way that you feel connected to it?
I do, and I think that's important. So balancing-wise, I think I'm more focused on marketing right now and really making sure we have the events on the calendar. So going from there, I can build my retention, conversion.
Yeah, it's great. So, good. Who else? Dr. Mikey D?
Yes.
Any of this
Lynn?
stuff? Yeah.
I got a lot of marketing done last week. It was a slower week, but a slow week meaning I still saw the low 200, so that was actually a win. So
that's the other thing that happens is once you break through to a new level, like a slow week is still going to be typically like what your old record used to be.
Yes.
So that's cool. What was your marketing breakthrough last week?
I pulled out the whale hunting list and got rid of the ones that weren't no good and called a few. Well,
good.
Actually about 10 of them, and working on that at the
Excellent.
moment.
That's very good. Who else just joined us? Mikey T? I want to wait for Mike. Mikey T, welcome to the call. So we were just having kind of an interesting conversation, but I wanted to have a specific conversation. But you can first share a win, your wins.
2 news this morning.
Yeah, I like that.
I think 7 last week, so.
Good. So, Leah, who's responsible for getting events in your office?
I am, and Lindsay.
And how does that interaction work?
Between me and her, or getting
the
event? We're kind of pretty much independent throughout the week, and then typically like once a week she'll spend time here within the office. So I'll just kind of, recap what I've been working on. She'll recap what she's been working on, but for the most part we're pretty independent on that. On our
so does she have leads and you have leads?
Yeah.
Okay, and then who ends up doing the events?
I pretty much am at every event. She will sometimes attend.
So how do you handle, like, when the event's on a Monday at 10?
Well, we schedule events, being sensitive to my office hours here. So typically we don't have them coincide with me treating patients. Whenever that has to happen, based on the business or whatever, then we'll send, like Jessica would go out, or Lindsay would try to make sure she has that availability to go to the event without me, and then I can, like, jump in.
But you can find that 80% of your events you can schedule Tuesday or Thursday, essentially.
Correct.
And in 2012, how many events would you say that you've had?
In 2012? I would probably say, I don't know, like 6.
Okay. Mike, any comment or questions?
No, I understand.
I'm just
that
saying.
100%.
All right. Fine. So I attended the PCA meeting, the Pennsylvania Chiropractic Association meeting on Thursday night at Shannon's bequest. And the biggest meaningful takeaway for us is, on 2 ends. One is they are theoretically trying to make whatever fight that they can make when, people are getting charged multiple copays and crappy stuff like that. They're asking to see cleaned EOBs that explain it. So if you're interested in doing that, I can talk to you one-on-one about that. The other comment was in terms of documentation. So is to make sure that your documentation is bulletproof, and the way that I teach Sonoma, I feel that it is, providing that it gets done. So in reviewing a couple of files, like over the weekend and today, just to reinforce, like for my docs and then for all of you, if you take x-rays, which essentially should be everybody, there should be some type of x-ray report that's part of the file. So in my system, we have the checkoff form that's on the travel card, and I want that to be completed. The other part that's important, and that was commented on at the PCA meeting, was that there needs to be a written treatment plan in every file. Like, this was in reference to Highmark, but like, I don't really think that there should be a standard based on, like, we shouldn't do good record keeping on the ones where the insurance company requires it, and then poor record keeping on everybody else. We should have the highest standard for everybody, every patient, every visit. So the written treatment plan is not 3 times a week, twice a week, once a week per se, but it is, the written treatment plan would be something like reduce presenting symptomatology of headaches, neck, and shoulder pain, reduce the 12 positive ADLs, restore normal range of motion to the cervical spine during left lateral flexion and left rotation, restore normal joint segment function to C3, C4, reduce nerve root irritation at C4, 5, reduce positive algometric findings. So right off of the outcome assessment, there should be a written treatment plan. And again, for my system, it's on the travel card. So I'm going to go back and do another inspection. I want there to be written treatment plans on every patient. How are we doing on that one, Dr. Jamie?
Poorly.
So let's update them. Okay?
Absolutely.
Excellent. All right. So 20 referrals a month. I like this topic. So occasionally, when I was out heavy on the circuit, right, you'd run into docs who claim that they'd have, 50 new patients a month, but they don't do no marketing. I don't do no marketing. And when you really break it down, what they've really become masters of is the referral process, which is marketing, but it's just an internal focus. So they're not out doing events or doing screenings or doing talks or networking or meeting MDs or meeting attorneys, but they are masters of the relationship within their office. So the challenges that we have, and I would propose that you should become a master of internally what's happening inside your office, but that even if you do become master, you still, even everybody that we know doesn't know everybody. We can only be in one place at one time, and we only have 24 hours in a day. So I was in Florida last weekend, and I might have shared this last week, but my biggest takeaway is literally very few people can just walk normally in Florida. It was much more noticeable than it was even in Pittsburgh, although it's just the case in public. So I would encourage you the next time that you're out and milling around, just watch how people walk, and particularly up and down steps, and just see how beat up they are. So with that being in mind, right, what I would like to do is to generate a system where I was getting 20 or more referrals a month, but at the same time, I was getting the same number from outside of my circles in external marketing, so that I could have 40 or 50 new a month and support at least 500 supportive lifetime patients. They've gone through relief care, corrective care, strengthening care, and now they're truly supportive care, with another 500 plus of active people that are going through that now. So that would require, as we talked about last week, even more of a focus on, getting those 500 people, or, in a month's time, maybe it's 300 supportive care patients could support 500 visits, or however it works out to be, so that ultimately in a dream practice, you have 40 to 50 new a month, you have over 1,000 visits a month, and, you're collecting over $60,000 a month. And, I think that literally, each of you on this call could run and create and maintain this level of practice. So I don't want to do the referrals at the expense of the externals or vice versa. I want to be strong at both. So we're going to look at actually 13 different strategies to stimulate referrals. What I'd encourage you to do is to try to pick out what are the 2, 3, 4 easiest ones for you to implement, and to make some action steps, build them into your plan, and make it happen. So strategy 1 has to be results, right? It's why we exist. It's the subluxation and the adjustment is the thing that we offer the universe that nobody else has ever or is ever or hopefully will ever be offering outside of us. So I've been fighting this hip thing and went out and got new x-rays, and, of course, my hip joint is beautiful, but there's a reasonable amount of rotation in my lumbar spine. Dr. Dave's been adjusting me, and, it was almost instantaneously after the first adjustment on my mechanical issue was 50% better right at the release, and continue to get better. I've been adjusted, I think, 4 times in the last 10 days, including being away, and it's made a considerable difference. So to have that obsession for everybody, to have objectifiable results, right, to be able to show on paper, here's where the patient started, here's where you are now, and, to make sure that we're making the clinical gains that we did briefly talk about today. Continuing education, so A, not only do we need it, and this is a good reminder that this September, all of us in Pennsylvania need to have our 24 hours of continuing education complete unless you just got your license within the last 2 years. And then they give you the freebie the first time. Just so that you hear this, one of the benefits of the PCA meeting was Pennsylvania has also instituted that if you own an x-ray machine, that you need 2 hours of x-ray safety every 4 years. And the PCA was kind enough to do that requirement at the meeting at no charge, so I was able to fulfill that, which should handle all of my offices as long as they're mine. And then to be able to put your clinical obsession on display, right? And, when you're in the zone and there's 50 people to adjust this afternoon, and you're flying around and you're setting each of those bones and they're releasing, and, it's the adjustment with something extra on every patient. In fact, the standard that you should have, and we briefly talked about this, I think, at some point, is from the tiniest doc, which, I don't know, maybe Dr. Leah and Dr. Martha can fight it out, up to whoever the biggest one is, perhaps that's me on this call, right? We should be able to move any bone on any patient in any direction, as well as kind of know when on that given day it's not going to happen. And just by, so my last point, so that's putting it on display. On continuing education, right, so that you should have an obsession in the work that you do, and you should seek out some of the hours around the work that you do. So again, if you're, I like to get some hours around CBP. I like being connected to that, at least at least every 2 years, and seeing Deed speak and supporting him and getting the hours and making that happen. So that's the first strategy. The second strategy is to record those clinical gains, is to really work on getting testimonials, and to do it in a much larger number. Who has gotten a new testimonial in 2012?
I have.
And that was Mike?
Jamie.
Sorry, Jamie. And how many have you gotten?
2. One
All right.
was a Google review and one was a handwritten one.
We're going to talk about, we might not even talk about Google reviews, but that's good. So you can count that both ways. So who's done more than 2 in 2012?
I have 5.
5. That's good. And are they all written, or like what's the end product?
They're all written out.
And are they on the walls, or?
They're in the process of going up on the walls.
Okay. Anybody do more than 5? So this is the 6th week of the year, so I think that it's reasonable, if you were really focused on it, to target probably 1 a week. Or maybe, even 2 or 3 a month. But, over the course of the year, that would be 36 new ones. So again, I am a huge, enormous believer in doing the testimonial via either audio or actual video recording. So if you wanted to put your mind to it, you could now identify, like Leah, if this was one of the things that you picked, you could go back and look through your busy days right now and identify perhaps 20 people this week that you could approach. And then just do the interview and then get them written up. So basically approaching somebody is finding the right time to ask. So either during the re-exam, re-report of findings, or when the patient comes in and they're excited about something good that's happened to their health. Or for people that aren't really expressive like that, they'll come in and, they'll have a big drop in their symptomatic numbers. And, they may not even be excited about it because they don't express themselves that way, but, they're happy about it. So whenever it might be appropriate is to ask people, Susie, I'm really grateful for your results. We would like you to share your story in order to help others. Would you be willing to do that for me? Well, what do you mean? Well, I'd like to just record your story and then write it up, and we may use it on our webpage or put it like one of these on the wall. And so when others read your story, it helps to reaffirm the work that we do. And then they agree, and then we just go through and we kind of ask them these questions. So it's real simple. What condition brought you to our office? Prior to chiropractic, what have you tried? What were those results? And then I keep asking that back and forth until they say nothing else. So prior to us, what did you try? Well, I tried some over-the-counter stuff. Well, it was helpful, but not really. Well, what else did you try? Well, I went to PT, but I really didn't get anywhere. Well, what else did you try? Well, they tried X, Y, and Z, and that didn't work. Well, what else did you try? I think that was it. Okay. Well, how long have you been under my care? And what have your results been here? How did we find you? And then this last question I like to make sure that you ask, is there anything else that you would like to add? And they will say stuff that you couldn't even plan to ask them. So if you could mute your phone, that would be good. Thank you. So this gives them an opportunity. The reason that I don't like to hand out the sheet, have them take it home to fill it out, is 3- or 4-fold. One is just keeping track of that process and extending it out way longer than it needs to be at this point. 2 is people will not communicate as freely or readily in a written form as they do verbally for 90+% of the population. 3 is how we're going to use it in a couple of different ways. Having a digital recording can be very beneficial. So the first use of the testimonials is, just for us to feed into the work that we do. So there are many times where we're going to be knocked off center, as you might say, or have realities that the IT blows up, or the employee is sick, or you get a bad letter from an insurance company, or the one patient in 10 that doesn't respond the way that we think that they ought to, or whatever else that might create some negative mind crud. So being able to center around, imagine being able to reel off either audio or video of 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes of your patients in their own words talking about what you were able to do for them. So it's a really powerful tool, even if we were to do nothing else other than to have that for ourselves and to really take time to listen to that and listen to the effects that we might have even skipped over. So I really encourage you to do that and to listen to your testimonials at least one time all the way through and to really hear them. But I would save some of that as well and use it when I needed it. 2, framed around the office. So we talk about writing it up National Enquirer style. So there's a big headline. Ideally, you could also take a picture of the patient or maybe even a picture of you and the patient, and then you kind of word wrap it around the picture, and, it kind of makes it more exciting, and, somebody that sees the title would want to read the story and see what it was. We can now, and I'm looking to add those to the website, and, we can also add that into our marketing presentation when we're out on any type of call. So with an MD, with a HR person, with a retail screening, just being able to go through patient stories and share why it is that we're out trying to meet more than the 7% of the people that we're servicing. So testimonials is a big takeaway. Strategy 3, NPOC. If I were to tell you that just about every mega practice that I know has a strong class, would it interest you to rev up your class? So again, we've talked about this on more than one occasion, and it's really a matter of getting the commitment down, of understanding that very few people understand the big idea and that if we don't take the time to go through it, at least with our patients, that it will continue to be that way. So it's to get that commitment that you know that 80% or more of your new patients are coming to the class. It's that way because you said so. And that, you know, you follow through. We invite people to report of findings. We have the list out front. We're confirming people. We're holding them accountable to it. And when they're there, it's going to be a dynamic class that tells them the story that you want them to hear. So whether that's about the type of work that you do, chiropractic philosophy, the newest science, how you want them, you know, what exercises you want them to do, or whatever it is that your class is, I believe that it should probably touch on all of that stuff, but that you're getting the right number of people at the class to hear the right message so that, you know, that the patients stay and also refer at a greater rate. So it's really, the NPOC can really address both retention and new patients and is worth re-looking at. So the commitment becomes is setting your dates, not only the next 2 dates, but I would encourage you to set them for the rest of the year. Dr. Jamie, where are you at on this concept?
I've set the dates. I have not gotten people to the class, though.
So when that happens, what have you done?
When I get people to the class?
So your last date was when?
It was last Tuesday.
Okay, and it was at 6 o'clock last Tuesday?
6:30 they're set for.
6:30, February the 7th, happened to have been my birthday, right?
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. So what happened at 6:30 last Tuesday?
Well, last Tuesday there was nobody there.
Right. So what happened?
Nothing.
Here's my recommendation, is that if it's scheduled, that you do the class. If you're serious about it, the very next time, there won't be nobody there. And if there's nobody there, you know that you weren't serious about it, and I would do it again, so that by doing it to nobody starts the clock of being serious about it. Feedback on that. Jamie.
Dr. Shannon was saying it's true, and she did one like that back in the day.
So how often are you guys doing class?
We do them twice a month. Currently, Dr. Shannon does one the first Tuesday of a month, and I do one the third. And what we've been doing because we were having a problem with getting people to show up recently, so we've been doing phone call confirmations, and we always put on their travel cards a reminder note for them to put on their wallet, agenda, refrigerator, whatever it is.
So, Mike, why are they doing all that stuff?
Why are they what?
Mikey Troutman, why are they taking all of those steps?
To make sure people show up.
Because why?
Because it's beneficial.
Because they're committed to making it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So in 2012, Martha, how many total people you think have been to class?
Oh, I know the last one was the biggest one we've had this year, and I want to say there was 10 people roughly, if not more. The last one that I did was only one, which is what spurred our recommitment to making sure everyone comes.
It's great.
So at least 25, maybe 30.
What's the biggest gain of NPOC?
People to me, it's people being recommitted to their care. I always get a bunch of people who are a little confused and fuzzy about what we do, and they really come out of that with more excitement about their care, more commitment to it, and they get why we're doing what we're doing. And then usually there's referrals, but my biggest thing is them just being more about what's going on with them.
I completely agree with that, but yet there's even a bigger gain, which is when done right, it's how you feel after the class. Because you're connected to you're connected to your story. And this is your flock, and you're able to tell it to how even the one person, right? Yes, there should be 10. But even the one, it's better, it's being able to tell that story. But everything that you said was correct, too. So, again, the right action at the right time for all of us is going to produce big results. So, strategy 4, CPC, Chiropractic Patient Curriculum. So there's a couple of different choices. You could do it by the visit, so that on visit 6 you do this, on visit 7 you do this, on visit 8 you do this, on visit 9 you do this. And that can be very, very effective. And in fact, you should have materials with 40 visits worth of stuff to go over. So Dr. David, if I were to just have the word visit 8 children, you know, in the course of adjusting somebody on their 8th visit, how might you work that in?
Well, first I'd identify if they had kids, you know, so if they do, then I would probably just, the first way I go about that is usually just ask them if they've been accurately screened for scoliosis and tell them that we do that here at the clinic at no cost to them. So when would they like to schedule that? We could do it over the next week.
Right. If I said, you know, entertainment, you know, Hollywood stars or chiropractic patients, how would you fit that in?
Well, I'd talk about Jerry Rice being the national spokesperson for chiropractic and how that is what got him through his career with longevity.
So we could create a menu of topics that you could actually live near your adjusting tables with numbers on them, and all you need, you'd be able to come up with the narrative for whatever that was. So, you know, really planning that out, and I think that it's worth it. And, you know, it might be too much to try to do 40 visits at once mentally. So I would encourage you to focus on the first 12 visits. So the first 2 visits we already do well in. Visit 3, I would do the chiropractic emergency card, where we're going to give patients our business card with their x-rays listed, right, so that they have their listings. And this is a chiropractic emergency card. If I'm out of town, you need to get adjusted, you'll be able to get in, and it'll save you time and money. Or if you're out of town, and then people have their card, your card in their wallet, which is another gain. Visit 4, so Jamie, what's visit 4 CPC?
The review of the phase chart.
Excellent, the 3-phase of care chart. Visit 5, Dr. Michael. So it's another opportunity to check in on how the payment plan is working, or if they didn't make a payment plan, to tie up all those loose ends. But again, from there, you could build whatever menu of stuff that you wanted. But it becomes a question that if you're not, so the other way is to just do it by the day. So today you're going to talk to everybody about, you know, the newest Monsanto monstrosity and how it's affecting our food supply, or whatever it is that you decide that you want to talk about. And I think probably doing a combination of the two makes sense. So it just becomes, you know, if you're tight on the numbers and then you miss one, you know, it could throw you out of sync if you were that tight, but, like, frankly, nobody I coach is that tight. But, you know, it becomes either we plan for what we're talking about, or we're talking about the 3 inches of snow, the Steelers, Heinz Ward, the fire that burnt down Nemacolin, or stuff that might be fun to talk about but might not produce referrals and might not educate patients for the 3 to 5 minutes that we're with them 3 times a week, as opposed to the entire allopathic world that they live in other than that. Right? So what do you want your patients to know, right? About referring, taking care of kids, what pain is, the immune system, carpal tunnel, the 4 principles of health. Dr. Chris, what other topics might you talk to them about?
Friends and family, whatever the promo is of the month.
All that, right? So my docs, thanks. My docs, by the way, at the end of the call, please stay on. So, you know, what we talked about all this, and it's anything else that you could be into. So if you had a niche, right, if you wanted to talk about whatever, nutrition or athletics or babies or seniors or car wrecks or whatever it was, you could build that into your CPC, and it creates the culture. You know, and I think the harder core you are in your culture and the more specific it is that you're asking for, that you will attract it. Strategy 5 is outright asking for referrals. So this is, you know, going through and identifying, so this is ending up in a conversation where we're speaking to somebody about specifically somebody else. So their sister, their mom, their kid, their coworker, whoever. So we want to be able to go through the absentee consultation and, identify who the prospect is. So, you know, while you're doing all the other stuff, or, you know, the condition was headaches, and someone says, oh, my mom's been having them. Okay, well, now we've identified the person. So to do the absentee consultation, you know, Dr. David, your mom, can I ask you a few questions about her?
Sure.
You know, If you had to guess, how long has she been suffering headaches?
As long as I can remember.
Really? So even when you were a kid?
Yep.
And, like, would you say they were mild, moderate, or severe?
I'd say severe.
And what's she currently doing about it?
Oh, she takes a lot of medications, like pills all over the place.
Is it getting better, getting worse, about the same?
She takes the meds and kind of cools off for a little while, and then she's complaining pretty soon.
That's not unusual. In fact, I think that's more typical rather than not. Here's why I asked that. You know, I've worked literally with thousands of patients with headaches, frankly, some even worse than your mom's. And generally, we've gotten good results, but I don't know whether I could help your mom or not. What would determine that for me is that if I was able to examine her. So I think that we have a couple of choices. One is that you could bring her with you on your next appointment. Two is that you can have this coupon. It's good for, you know, till the end of March. She can call and schedule a time that's good with me, with Jill. Three is I'd be happy to speak with her on the phone. Or four is that you could bring her to our class that we're doing next Wednesday. What do you think would be best for your mom?
I'll just bring her with me next time.
Excellent. So at that point, I would walk you out front, and I would move you from your regular time to a new patient time with your mom. And I would get it scheduled in the book with the front desk CA. And that would be my choice. In fact, maybe it's the only thing you even offer. But if you do the coupon, I'd like it to have some expiration date. Again, if they say NPOC, I'm going to take them out front and sign them up, both the patient and the prospect. And if they ask for the telephone call, I'm going to then get permission. So I would be happy to talk to your mom. Can you do me this favor first, Dave? Go home, speak to your mom, tell her that we spoke about your headaches, that I asked if I was able to call her, and you're getting permission. So that on your next visit, or I might even call later that night, right, I want to get permission, and then I'm going to call mom on the phone and do a spinal screening over the phone. Right? So now your mom. So say it was the brother and you're the brother. So ring, 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 ring.
Hello.
Hello, is David in?
No, he's not here.
He's not. When do you think he might be back?
I don't know.
You know, his brother Tom said he might give me a hard time. Are you sure you're not David?
Yeah.
So this is Dr. Newman. I was speaking to your brother. He mentioned that you had headaches. I asked if I could call. He said he talked to you about it. Is now a good time to talk?
Sure.
Excellent. So tell me about your headaches. How bad? How long? What have you done? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Right? So how am I going to close?
Well, I've been working with a lot of different patients with headaches that sound very, very similar to yours with good results over the years. You know, I'm not exactly sure if I could help you at this point. I think if I was you, what I would do is get an examination, and I would want to make sure it's very thorough. At our clinic, we do over 60 tests. It's going to test the muscles, the nerves, the bones, everything that would be related to these headaches that you're having. When can we schedule your appointment?
Close. You were doing good till you stopped.
Okay.
So you know, David, the reason I asked all those questions is because I've worked with thousands of patients with headaches, some even worse than yours. And now, I wouldn't even equivocate here, but I don't know if I can help you or not. Why do I say that?
So you're not making a 100% guarantee because
I don't know if I can help them or not.
Yeah.
What would determine that is if I was able to examine you. When we examine people, we do over 60 tests. We check all the muscles, bones, and nerves. If necessary, we take x-rays. Normally, the fee for that's $125 on up. In conjunction with our Friend Helping a Friend program, we set aside a limited number of appointments each week to provide the full exam and any necessary x-rays for whatever your offer is, free or $20 or whatever, just for our current patients. So don't take one if you're not going to use it. If we offered you one of these appointments, would you use it? So it's just doing the screening over the phone. Somebody just, Michael, you just did one of those? Michael Troutman? Anybody else run this recently?
I did it at a basketball game. I talked to a mother.
It's great. And the patient's in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. So, you know, the question becomes, you know, if this was your one takeaway, right? So today is Monday. If any of us on this call put our mind to it, we could have at least 3 of these conversations this week. right? So that either you're on the phone with somebody or they're already scheduled, in fact, in by the end of the week on the patient's next visit when they're bringing in the prospect. So this is just a matter of like being on it and being sensitive and engaging our patients. Strategy 4, condition of the month. So again, it gives us an opportunity to have an overall condition to talk about in the background, and then some days to highlight it. And, you know, it could be anything from just putting up posters and having a little handout and an 8.5 by 11 with a coupon on it, down to like working it into both emailings and real mailings and a page on the website and a coupon that is out printed somewhere, even an in-office talk, a separate talk. And again, if there were a handful of conditions that you really wanted to grow around, you could recycle them several times a month. So I've talked to a couple docs about PI stuff, for example, right? So if you wanted to become, you know, do a higher percentage of PI, 2 or 3 times a year could be personal injury month. And you talk about it, you do an in-office talk, and it starts small. It could be any topic. So I talked last week to the CAs about natural childbirth, and like, you know, that's always well received. If you had that as an interest, it could be any topic. So you just do a talk in the office and you start small. So if there's only 1 or 2 people the first time and, you know, 3 or 4 people the second, but it would build up and it would be a focus on it as well. Strategy 7, 8, and 9 are events. So first is Patient Appreciation Day. You know, it was a really big boost, and I built my practice on Patient Appreciation Day, as well as I would run them twice a year for 25 years, and I would say that I averaged at least 20 new patients. Now, in the end, it wasn't as productive as in the beginning, but, you know, if you put the energy into it, it can still be productive and produce lots of new. So, Dr. Mikey D, how many knew your last PAD?
I think 12.
Right, so, you know, still worthwhile. So I would still go for 2 a day. I would definitely do one if you're in the Northeast, that first Saturday of December, and then I would work back and do one spring to summer. So you could have different themes. We did do a Cinco de Mayo one once. I've done 4th of July. I've done Christmas in July. I had clients that, you know, he was a Dr. Seuss fan, so he would do Dr. Seuss's birthday, which was in March. So, you know, any reason to do it. And basically, we're going to invite people in for either, you know, day 1 for free or for a donation. Again, you could do it in conjunction with a charity. Could be the food bank, could be Toys for Tots, could be any other charity, you know, on a straight money deal. And you do a first visit for, you know, $20.12 or whatever the offer is. And we could give that money to a charity. So there's a whole talk on PAD just to bring it up here as a referral strategy. So really, you know, a PAD is a big, massive referral push, is to have 20 new on a Saturday and the 20 reports done by Wednesday and 60 additional visits the next week. 6 weeks later, I would do dinner with doc. So I would invite all of those new patients, now that they're starting to get results, to dinner to bring an adult non-patient guest. My talk, which, you know, how different can it really be, but it would be different from my NPOC talk, but it would still be hard bone, soft nerve, and telling the story. And at dinner with doc, not only would I be looking to close the guests that were in the room, but I'd be looking to have everybody in the room, both the patients and the guests, refer yet others. So that if you had 15 patients in the room with 15 guests, that you ended up with 45 leads. And that's an exciting dinner with doc. And again, so you can back those up 2 or 3 a year on dinner with doc. We talked, and I would encourage you to check the recording, the Ladies' Night of Indulgence. Again, this is a hybrid. This is, it's an internal event to the extent that we're going to mail to our own list. It's an internal extent that it gives us chance to actually leverage all of our contacts, which we don't typically think about doing it. So what we want to do is to host a big party, either in our office if it's big enough, or in a this I think is some type of like corporate big auditorium, but it could be in a gym or it could be wherever. But imagine that we have 6, 7, or 8 of our vendors that we've brought to other events, and they're loving life. They like playing with us. It's all good. And now we're going to have a big party where each of us is responsible for at least 10, women 25 to 60 to attend our Ladies' Night of Indulgence. So if we had 8 equal partners that were our vendors that each committed to generating at least 10 ladies, we'd end up with well over 100 ladies, of which only 10 of which, or maybe 15 of which, were our patients. Or maybe in the crossbreeding, let's say the worst possible scenario, that half were patients. So it's still 50 highly qualified ladies around the 50 that are already patients. So I really like this as a strategy, and I'd like to see several of us on this call really develop this. And if you go back to the website, there's the whole hour that I did with Dr. Dill where he lays it out step by step, and it's really worth digesting. Strategy 10 are mailings. So this is an area that I think that we've tightened up on a little bit better. Dr. Jamie, how's Activator going?
Activator's going very well.
And any wins from it yet?
I've had 3 patients email me, at least.
Hey, thanks for the letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the letter. And
right, so very important. So we want to create communication lines on any lines that are available to us. So that's a good win. I like hearing that. So we have a software where we actually set up a flow chart, and essentially from the time that we meet you, where you schedule your appointment, all the way through, did you show up, did you accept care, did you stay on for corrective care, did you go to supportive care, if you dropped off to reactivate you, and I would say that it's semi-automated, asterisk. Asterisk is still heavy lifting, but it is semi-automated. So we can also coordinate postcards from that. I think getting postcards, an email and postcards and letters and everything else, everything, should work cumulatively, but each piece stands out on its own. We want to create top-of-mind consciousness so when the person that we're sending a communication to sees somebody that needs a chiropractor, like they're coming across and they see, oh, that person needs a chiropractor, we want them to think of specifically us. That's top-of-mind consciousness. The second is to expand. Would you agree with me that nobody really understands the concept that everybody needs a chiropractor? So we need to pick pieces to expand their understanding. So you might think about that in the different postcards and letters and emails that we're sending. What concepts could we share that might expand that understanding? Like any communication, it needs to be regular so that we keep showing up, and it needs to be relevant. So, if you could send the person with headaches the headache information and the person with low back the low back information, that would be better than just doing it generically. And the pieces that need to have a call to action, call today to schedule your appointment or pass this on to a friend. So to really work on making the message as effective as possible. Strategy 11 is to calendarize, is to come up with what you're going to do each month. So this is the big push each month. So, you probably do some of the other stuff on top of this, but to get your calendar down, to make it perpetual so that you already know in January of 2013, Dr. Michael Drusbeck, what are you going to be doing in January of 13?
Doing the start the Healthy New Year or
right.
Letter.
Except instead of printing it on the 4th of January next year, maybe we get it printed by the 15th of December.
Exactly.
Right? And you're like every single other person on the call, especially me. Right? So I'm just picking you out because that's the way it went down. So if we could calendarize, then we could plan for it. So if August is back to school healthy month, we could be pitching that now as an example. And then this should be strategy 12, are reactivations. It's a cheat because it's not really referrals, but it is the back end of retention. I am a strong believer that we should be reaching out after 30 days of no appointment, after 90 days of no appointment, after 180 days of no appointment, having a phone call, and then a 1 year, and then making sure that we invite the right set of inactives to our PAD, our Dinner with Doc, if you do an e-newsletter, or if they are just a quality prospect, right? So there's both a digital computer way to do this as well as the old school manual way. In either case, it's worthwhile. Reactivations should be an important part of your plan. The last strategy is to take all this theory and to pick the 2 or 3 or whichever ones you want, come up with your actual tactics that you're going to actually do and take action. So with that, I'd like to hear what kind of action we might want to take. Dr. Leah, you first.
For the MPOC, I like that one. That is a big one for building retention, and I try to make sure that I have a sign-up sheet out front. Our news have been a little bit slower here the past couple of months, so the next one I'm aiming for is this Thursday to promote that. We do have our calendar set.
So just to comment on that, here's what I would encourage you to do, particularly this afternoon, is to go through every single patient that is scheduled this afternoon and maybe even tomorrow, and to determine who has not been to class.
Okay.
And also invite them.
Okay.
Second one?
Asking for the referrals. Sometimes I will get the patient who says, you know, my sister is going through this, or she just went to, you know, the doctor because she's in a lot of pain that's going down her arm. So really, you know, doing the absentee consult, I do try to promote, you know, them coming in. I'd be happy to do a free exam, but I guess pushing more for them, you know, scheduling, or can I call them?
So if you don't care about that person at that time enough to overcome, you know, whatever it is that you need to overcome, and again, you're just like everybody else, right? So it doesn't feel the total best thing that you want to do all day. But if, you know, I'm just trying to give you a different viewpoint on it. The chances of them ever hearing the big idea, if you don't own it right then, is remote. So until we're mainstream enough, which we're probably not going to live to see, we still need to be grassroots and guerrilla in terms of our marketing. So I just want to encourage you to get over whatever the personal demon is that we all have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Martha?
I really like the thought of having the PAD and then Dinner with Doc afterwards, incorporating those new people. The last one we did, we had like a Dinner with Doc like in November, and then we had PAD the beginning of December, and so it was like drawing the same people again and again. So I think swapping that would be interesting to see how that turns out.
It can go either way, but you just want to focus and really push hard with the new that have never seen it before.
Right.
Right. Good.
And then recommitting with the MPOC, like just making sure that we're like getting everybody on it and telling them this is like an integral and the have-to part of their case. And then
it's all about the doctor's commitment. If we commit, we'll have people there. If you don't want people there, you won't have people there.
True.
Yeah.
And then asking for the referrals and the following up with like the call or bring them in next time kind of thing. I often just give out like our friend helping a friend card and let them like come to me, but probably best to try to go to them too.
Yeah, we want to actually, you know, put a little bit of pressure on the person that we're speaking to and actually, you know, try to get an active decision. It's good. Mikey T.
I really like just blatantly asking people, who do you know that I should talk to?
Yep.
And then Dinner with Doc is something that I've been working on incorporating.
Good. I think that you would do well with Dinner with Doc and with Ladies Night. That Ladies Night might need a little bit of extra planning, but Dinner with Doc, I'd like to see it. It's good. Dr. Michael Drusbeck.
I have the CPC, the chiropractic curriculum. I've never done that, honestly, just besides handing out the free exam cards on different days. But actually having a theme or whatever, or something to think about, like asking about children or what have you, I've never done, so I definitely like that and want to implement that. The dinner with Doc, I've been thinking about doing that, and I just need to rewatch the video and figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah, so again, you got a bunch of new that you can reach out to with that. They've never seen the offer as well. And in terms of the CPCs, again, either we control the dialogue for the short time that we have the patient, or it's just more of the same. So I like those takeaways. Dr. David?
I think for me, it would be smart just to invite everyone to the new patient orientation class because they're all new patients for me. So I'm just going to invite everybody I see.
It's great. So when's it going to be?
When? It's going to be February 22nd.
Love it. So that's 2 weeks from Wednesday, a week from Wednesday.
A week from Wednesday, yep.
Love it. It's great. Dr. Jamie?
There's a couple here for me. I love the idea of the CPC, and I do that, but not consistently enough. I like the idea. Yeah, I do. I like the idea of having something predetermined, like you walk in the first of the morning, you just say, I'm going to talk to people about, vaccines today, period. And then everybody gets the same talk. You don't get off track by like you said, the Steelers or the Panthers.
And not that you're not going to talk about that, but we get to control it. So how can you find information on whatever it is that you want to talk about in like 3 seconds?
Google.
Yeah, and instantly, bam. So
reactivations. We've been doing better with the reactivations lately, and in fact, I just talked with a couple people yesterday who had received the activation letters. So getting that incorporated into a daily routine at the office has helped with that. And the MPOC, I got to stop being wishy-washy about asking, this person, not that person. Just, telling myself that it's going to happen and just, doing the steps to make it happen.
And I don't think you were on the call at the very top. Your win for the week was?
Best week ever.
Which was?
Too shy of 100. So we saw 98 people last week.
98, and you had how many scheduled for this week?
120.
So are you going to be over 100 this week?
That's the goal.
No. Let's try that again. Are you going to be over 100 this week?
Yes.
I think so too, absolutely. So that's a big, huge win. 100 is definitely a different level, right? 150 and you're way there. So 200 is even better. Excellent. Well done. Dr. Chris, a takeaway?
The takeaway, we have our 5-year anniversary coming up in March.
Look at you, old man.
First, I know. That PAD, so we're going to follow it up with a dinner with Doc, and we're going to follow that up with a Saturday workshop.
What was the best PAD that you ever did?
The best PAD?
Yeah.
Probably like 20 new and probably like 40 regular.
Right, so I want you focusing on that to try to reproduce that, and then to come back, as you said,